Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. 2 years and 1 month ago, this forest didn't exist. My giant sequoia forest was grown from seeds 2 years and 1 month ago. My goals for this forest is not to grow them into giant sequoia trees, but to keep them small and miniature. I've already pruned the forest up once in spring, kind of balancing the vigor, taking energy out of the top by pruning it back hard on the top and letting the bottoms grow. The trees are getting quite top heavy once again, so I need to repeat that process, pruning out all this vigorous top growth and letting the bottom branches gain vigor. The last time that I pruned these trees, I tried a lot of different techniques. I pinched out the top growth on some of them I hard pruned, and there was various degrees of success. Some of the branches I hard pruned have very little growth on them, if any. That has a little bit. Some of the ones I pinched out seem to be quite successful. But the stronger trees, the genetically stronger trees, just seem to take off no matter what you do to them. If you prune off the apex, another apex grows up. But I think the pruning on the top is working. I'm getting some growth down below on the lower branches, which is my goal, is to keep this lower branching. If you let them just grow up top, all this lower branching will die off and you'll get, a larger and larger tree as the tree starts maturing. I'm going to come in with my scissors now, and I'm going to prune the trees to a conical form. That takes vigor out of the top and encourages the bottom branches to grow a little more freely. The bottom branches won't get pruned at all, and the top will get pruned quite severely. So here I go. All right, I'm going to start out front on this tree. So far, all the pruning techniques I've used in these redwoods, you could use for a juniper. They're very similar in the way they grow. At least that's what I've found so far. So I'm going to prune all these branches back, keeping my branching, pruning between needles if possible. Like that. So this branch comes out and divides into two. The branch beside it here also divides into two very early where I pruned it and it's grown again. So I'll prune it back quite short. Like that. And then the top growth I'll have to prune back very short to keep my conical form and balance the vigor of the tree. And then you can see I have a new branch forming up here on the apex. I'm going to prune the longer leader back like that, and then I'm going to pinch out the growing tip on the top here like that. So that has got this tree pruned to a conical form, nice and compact. I'll go around now and prune up all the other trees to a conical form. So here I go. Here's a branch that I'll have to really shorten. Quite a hard cut on it. Pruning off a lot of branching, reducing it back in size. If you don't do that, your trees will grow into giant sequoias. Okay, so there's tree number 2 pruned up. When I'm pruning these trees, I find it really useful to look from above because you can really see the conical form of the trees, and you can prune back branches that are getting a little long and out of the profile. Otherwise, all your trees will begin to overlap and mesh in with each other. You can pinch out the tops too, the tips. This new growth is quite soft, so you can just pinch it out if you want, or you can scissor prune it. But the goal is to keep, each branch in the sun with its own spot of sunlight from when viewed from above. You don't want branches or trees getting shaded out by the ones beside them. You might wonder why I'm making the videos here in the greenhouse where it's hot and not outside where it's nice and cool. Outside you get a lot of wind noise on the microphone. You get a lot of outside noises that I find distracting, like lawnmowers and car horns and things like that. I find it a little quieter in the greenhouse here. You can concentrate more. It's less distracting and you don't get a lot of wind noise with the microphone. So at the moment it is 36 degrees Celsius in here, getting around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty warm, but there's a cool breeze from the fans and you get used to it. So I'm continuing with the pruning here. Pruning back the trees to a conical form. My one tree here has a double trunk. So I'm just pruning out the branches that are growing in towards each other. And then each one of these trunks will get a conical form to it. The birds you hear in the background are house wrens. They're beautiful little songbirds. They're very tiny birds, little gray birds. They have the most beautiful voice. I've come across a few dead branches. So here's the first one I came across right here. So I would say why this branch died is it's in the shade. It's shaded out by a branch above it. It's shaded out by the tree beside it. So I would say that one just died from lack of light. There's an upward part on this branch that's died off, but the tip is still alive because it's getting some sun. Once I prune the tree beside it, it'll get full sun again. The only other dead branch, there's one way back here. Actually, there's two back here on this tree. And they're low branches. And again, I think they just got shaded out by the growth above. So I think it's really important to keep every branch in the sun. Otherwise, the branch is just doomed. I've also had several opportunities to remove upward growth in the branch and keep one that's growing downwards. So eventually, I have my lower branches sloping downwards. As I go up the tree, they'll become horizontal, and at the very apex, they'll come upwards on an angle. That's the styling I'm going for. It mimics what the trees do in real life. I mentioned that pruning up these giant sequoias is similar to pruning up a juniper. The difference is that after you've pruned the giant sequoia, you don't get the same reaction from the tree that you do on a juniper. You don't get an explosion of new buds coming out around the cut points. I do expect to get some dieback after pruning these trees today. Maybe some of the lower branches will die off. The trees will sort themselves out again. But I'm doing all I can to keep these lower branches alive and vigorous, but it's definitely going to be a battle because all the vigor goes to the top and very, very little goes to the bottom. I finished pruning up the forest. So 2 years, I've been able to keep them fairly small so far. I'm not sure how successful I'll be in the future. You can see some of these lower branches are looking really, really weak. That one's not going to make it. And that may happen over time. These lower branches will start disappearing. But my goal is to keep them as small as I can. And, if they have to grow a little larger each year, well, that's what you have to do. You can't force the lower branches to stay alive, all you can do is prune the vigor out the top and hope they, you know, have enough strength to keep growing and branching. Yeah, so a bit of an experiment. I'll see how it works in the future. If you know, we'll come back years from now and see how they're doing. Any new growth that does come out in the top, I'm going to start pinching it back fairly early. I'm not too worried about the overall vigor of the trees. I think there's lots of strength in these trees. So, you know, once it extends a little bit out, I'll pinch it, always keeping some of the new growth. And that should encourage more vigor, maintain that vigor down lower on the branches. So, yeah, keeping them as small as possible. The largest tree in the world, and I'm trying to keep them small. It's quite a challenge. Here is a look at what I pruned off today. So some very, you know, vigorous shoots from the tops of the trees. Quite a few of them. Let's have a look at the forest now. I finished up the pruning of my giant sequoia forest. These trees don't like the heat, so I'll be putting them back outside, keeping them well watered, fertilized, and misted throughout the hot days. It's time now for today's update. The first update for today is my acacia trees, which were also grown from seed. I've had a lot of people asking me about them. Are they still alive? How are they doing? Let's go have a look. So these trees stayed dormant in the winter, all winter, at around 10 degrees Celsius. They lost all their leaves for the entire winter, and here they are today. So you can see they're growing with a ton of health and vigor. They're looking really, really good. So that's the acacia update. There's the trunks down here. They're still quite skinny. There's my fingers beside the trunk. But, you know, they're getting there. They're just young trees still. It's day 2 of taking care of Eric and Emma's trees. As you can see, they're still all alive and healthy looking. Let's hope it stays that way. I've got my sequoia forest out here beside the Avatar Grove and my larch forest. I sure have a lot of forests. Do you think we should go count them? I think so. Now, when I say I'm going to count the forests, it means ones that have been arranged as a forest, not a whole bunch of seedlings planted in a pot that haven't been formally arranged. So here's one, my cedar forest here. That's it for that bench. Over here, I don't see any forests. Over here, we've got 3, that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go in the greenhouse. So we're up to 4 so far. 5 if you include my Chinese village penjing. That's 5 forests. 6, my Portulacaria afra forest. So that's 6. 7, my desert rose forest. So that is 7 forests so far. Let's head back outside. That's it for the glass greenhouse. That's Matt's penjing. I'm not going to count that. So 7. 8, including the silver maple forest. 8. 9, the northern bog forest. 10, the fisherman penjing with the red maples. That's 10. Over here, none of these are forests. I won't count the Chinese elms there, or not the Chinese elms, the Siberian elms. They're not really arranged yet. So we're still at 10.
The boxwood, that's not arranged yet. I have another boxwood planting. So that's still, we're still at 10. Let's go into the greenhouse. 11, the rubber trees. You can see they're growing really, really nicely. So that's 11. This one's a clump style. I wouldn't say it's a forest, so I'm not going to count that. My jade forest here, I guess I'll count that. That's 13. 13. That's it. I could count this one too. 14. 14, including the 2 jade forests. Let's go out to the back area here. 14. This one hasn't really been arranged in a forest yet. It's in a forest, but they haven't been arranged. It's not designed as a forest. It's just trees thrown in a pot, so that doesn't count. The boxwood, again, that hasn't really been arranged into a forest. It's just like a grow bed. And same with the sugar maples, same with the oaks. So we'll discount those. Any forests over here? Not really. No. Over here. Yeah, here's one. So this is 16, my Osage orange forest that has been formally arranged into a forest. So that's 16. The acacias, they're just in a pot. They're not arranged as a forest yet. My cedar forest here, that is one. So I think I was up to, I think this is 17, is it? I can't remember now. 17. And I think, oh, my yucca forest through there, that's 18. I think that's it. Yeah. I think I have 18 forests. That's a lot of forests. Yeah. Okay, well that's how many forests I have. 18 formally arranged forests, and I'm sure there's going to be more coming as some of these trees grow up. I know the boxwood forest is coming. Yeah, there'll be some more. Someone in the comments asked, what is the fruit tree beside the greenhouse here? It is a pear tree. So you can see the pears ripening up. I don't know what kind of pear it is. They start off green and they turn kind of a purple color. Usually the squirrels get all the fruit before it ripens. So if we want fruit, we have to pick it early and then let it ripen up indoors. Otherwise the squirrels are just at it every day eating fruit. But it fruited really, really well this year. It's a good crop.
I was happy to get my giant sequoias back on track, balancing the vigor in the trees. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.